For tonight is the Scopes Monkey Trial. I'm here with the man himself, John Scopes, the teacher who taught evolution illegally. So John, how do you feel about this issue?
Well, really, seriously, I feel like this goes against my freedom of speech because I should have the choice to teach what I want in schools.
Wow, that's so true. Right. So, do you think that the Bartlett Act is unconstitutional?
Yes, I think this is unconstitutional since I don't have the right to teach what I want to teach in schools, and since the government is doing that, they're taking away my freedom of speech.
So, the question everyone that wasn't there at the court is wondering, is it true that you really got fined $100 and lost the court case? So, is it true that you got fined $100 and lost the court case?
Yeah.
So, many people believe that this goes against the Bible and the belief of God. But what is your standpoint on the teaching evolution?
I think we should be allowed to teach evolution if we want, because you can't just put a belief on everyone because some people have different opinions on God and their beliefs in God.
I totally agree with your viewpoint and the viewpoint of the situation. Well, those are all the questions we have time for tonight. Find out later on this very groundbreaking report. Now let's head over to Al Daynon for reports for racism.
And now for the latest news of racism. Black people have more recently been aggravated. Due to the recent issues, more laws were made to keep us safe from African Americans. In Missouri, the black people have to be in a separate school to keep our children safe. If you have an interest in a Chinese, Japanese, or black person, and you live in Atlanta, Georgia, you cannot marry them if you're white. If you have a black child, you can possibly be in a penitentiary for up to 18 months. Recently, the Washington Eagle released an article relating to the KKK. The KKK did another lynching again. The reason was that a black man was convicted of killing some white girl again. So recently they tied him in a tree stump. Before they continued, they asked him for his final words. The black man asked for a smoke. They acknowledged him and did what he asked for. He had his final puff and decided to blow it in the members' faces. After they were done, they proceeded to burn the man alive. The KKK members proceeded to dance ritually as the man was screaming in pain. Now into Sparky Piston for the news of sports.
Hello and welcome to the Sports Entertainment segment of tonight's program. I'm Sparky Piston, reporting on stock car racing. And the engine size is too large for stock car racing at the beginning of the race. The engines are an incredible 600 cubic inches, or 9.8 liters. That's a lot of power. Unfortunately, with all that power comes restrictions. The engine size had to be reduced because it had too much power. So in 1913, the engine size went from 600 cubic inches, or 9.8 liters, down to 450 cubic inches, or 7.4 liters. And in 1915, it was reduced again to 300 cubic inches, or 4.9 liters. By 1927, it was reduced to a final 91 cubic inches, or 1.5 liters, meaning the power of stock cars went from being superb for the time down to next to nothing. And now we roar over to the roaring crowd cheering for a famous baseball star. Here's the man himself, the one, the only, Babe Ruth. So, Mr. Ruth.
Oh, please, Sparky, call me Babe.
Okay. Babe, I have a couple questions to ask you. Are you okay with this?
Of course, I'm always open to answer questions.
Okay, first question. How many home runs have you hit?
Only about 700.
Oh, wow. That's a lot of home runs. Okay, question number 2. I hear a lot of different nicknames you have. What's your favorite?
Probably the Great Bambino.
How come?
Just because I think it is funny.
Alright. Well, folks, that's all the time we have today for sports. Now over to you, Ginger Blossom, for the latest news on fashion.
Alrighty, let's get down to business with Ginger Blossom. During a bowl session this week, I had met up with some flappers at the Speakeasy. We started talking about the progression of women in this decade. All us flappers had a cat's meow, talking about our new rights and positions in life. Let's begin with the flappers that came out of this era. Ignore the general way of life before the roaring 20s hit. Women wore clothes that reached all the way to the ground. But when women found out that they did not have to abide by the normal rules of womanhood, they turned up their skirt lengths to above the knees. Women started working on the floor of companies and working at men's jobs. They weren't all pure and innocent, though. During the night, flappers will go and party at the jazz clubs and have a few giggle waters. Men are appalled by the fact that women have started to show their true colors by their clothes and their shoes. Women said bye-bye to flats and hello to heels. Besides the new fashions, women do not care about prohibition. In fact, the women are acting like they are men. They are drinking just as much as the men are nowadays. Flappers do not care. They are the modern women. I went up to meet with some other flappers at a local speakeasy. We started talking, and we were discussing about how women have been changing their education, fashion, and attitude. One of the flappers, I would like to say anonymous, mentioned to me about the first woman that was accepted to North Carolina State. It was a great day to be a woman. I did some sleuthing and found that the newspaper on site had the headline of "Woman Not Wanted Here." Surprise, surprise. It was not hard to find that no man on the campus wanted anything to do with the new girl. I went and interviewed the drugstore cowboys to hear their opinions of women voting. One of them told me that women are only good for a few things. All I need them to do is cook and clean the house. That's what every man wants. Another said that letting women vote is taking them out of their natural sphere of life. After visiting with them, I went to talk to the other flappers, asked their opinions on women being able to vote. They told me that they didn't even want the right to vote, but they would not go any further on their opinions of why they did not want to vote. This just in. Breaking news on the Scopes monkey trial. Back to Babyface on the latest news.
Tonight, we have some breaking news on the aftermath of the Scopes monkey trial. This trial is the most controversial trial in U.S. history. This trial was split into two sides: people that believed in the Bible and people that believed in science. And in other breaking news, Arkansas was one of the other states that joined the Butler Act and was the first confirmed state to join this after the trial was over. In other shocking news, this trial was supposed by many people that were on the jury that this was actually a feud between Ryan and Darrell, the two lawyers that were in the trial. Apparently they fought against each other in their feud to defeat each other and prove which one is a better lawyer. And more people want their state to join this law. I'm Babyface Burns, reporting to you from the Ghibli studio.